Hello. Currently, we're looking at fire conditions, wildfire conditions, bushfire conditions throughout mainly Northern Territory, Australia, some Queensland, but it's more from the border of Northern Territory, Australia. You can see I have highlighted a few notable blazes. Nothing too concerning except for the smoke. Bush smoke is always concerning. Low-lying fire in a drought-stricken area can cause a lot of smoke with very little fuel, dry fuel. But this looks like a lot of smoke. I would check the air quality index, but Australia really doesn't have any. I don't understand why. And the ones that are available, there's only 2 throughout Northern Territory, at least that is public facing. If there's another method of finding it, I haven't found it. But all the information is pretty much in Alice Springs and Darwin, and it needs to be everything in between that, because you got people hiking, tourists, people up on these rocky steeps where these fires can not only crawl up, but the smoke can exhaust a person. Nothing thrives under smoke. Now I'm gonna get rid of this. A little tighter. And then night. Right before nightfall, you're able to see the wildfire, the smoke's best. But as soon as it's night, you can't see them anymore. Unless they are burning really hot or it's on top of a volcano. But once it's nighttime, that's it. So we're looking at Australia's day, not just the most recent, because that wouldn't be possible because it is currently night. But what we can see is what was burning beforehand. A couple dozen fires. Nothing that looks too concerning, but a massive uptick of wildfire in a short period of time is always alarming. Especially when it's cutting off half the state throughout Northern Territory. You have all this smoke and fire that's just cutting through most of an unpopulated area, but that smoke is going to go places. That smoke's going to get pulled up, going to get shuffled up to Darwin, and if the wind changes, let's see where the wind is at. Yeah, the wind's pretty steady northwest. If the wind changes, or if the Gulf catches a really gnarly wind shape, it hits some of this smoke back to Alice Springs. They still wouldn't know because Alice Springs only has one air quality station, and it's always pretty good, even though like this doesn't look healthy to breathe in. So it's really frustrating seeing how many air quality stations we have available in the United States that are public facing. But Australia, really, these things are not expensive, and anybody can put them. Anybody can say, "Hey, I'm going to put one on my house. Here's the data." Now here, looking at severe droughts in Western Australia. Not fire though, fortunately. But we are seeing drought taking hold. And this isn't even severe drought yet. And it's already seeing an increase, an uptick of wildfire activity. Now, moisture, quite dry except by Darwin, and everything from Catherine south in Northern Territory is pretty dry right now. Besides it being just drought, the soil isn't very moist. And seeing a really consistent pattern as deep as it goes. So this is a pretty substantial drought. Even though it's not as severe, it is substantial. So, coupled with a pretty impressive number of wildfires that are taken off right before sunset. Couple dozen fires. Now let's see. Looks like a little bit of a blaze here. Some scorched earth. Looking for miscolored land that is always a dead giveaway of a recent fire. But don't have to worry about cloud coverage right now for Australia. Oh, up here. Ooh, this looks gnarly. Yeah, talk about fire taking advantage of slopes. This is fire taking advantage of slopes. The wind, let's say the wind is heading south. Then you have valleys, either rivers or ditch, any kind of channel. You're going to have this vortex in that graded out area. And that's going to cause these union symbols to constantly scar the land. And it's just pretty much sparking flint right before the fire hits a crest where it's going to be putting itself out, unless it hits vegetation, low-lying vegetation, like it definitely would. This is bush, this is Australia, this is substantial. I don't know how much of this has burned over the last day. Let's do a time lapse of it to see. So as we can see here, I don't see any active fire before the 16th. And then 21st, which yesterday, last 24 hours. That's a huge outbreak. From 40 kilometers. Since it's probably burned out. Expect all this area to burn here. These active fires, it's just gonna start engulfing. And then continues, because you'll have these two waves of fire that meet, and they don't cancel each other out. They just keep going straight and true, and this will cause each fire to accelerate based on the already fuel that's being incinerated, already caught on fire, or being dumped with ash and soot and carbon, causing it to get sick, causing it to dry out and wither, causing fire to be able to reach further. So it's right next to an important highway, Sandover Highway. Now, we looked at this, but this is, you know, just blast of fire you can see up here. Let's see if we can, if there's any smoke attributed to this fire. Yep. Cloud coverage right here, but this really very dark, carbon-rich smoke plume being fed by these fires. The fire looks to be scorched all of these. Look like dry riverbeds, ditches, channels, canyons, chasms, whatever, there's no water in them. So it's what we were talking about whenever the fire goes down for a loop. The wind is clockwise, and that hits it, takes it for a ride. And all of this fire over the last 24 hours, that's fast, 40 kilometers, this thing spread. And just snuffed out all of these little basins. Absolutely worrying, especially with this plume. This plume matches what we were looking at here. This is much higher resolution imagery than Zoom Earth. We can zoom in on charred Earth. Now let's see. Plume of smoke you see here, it's corkscrewing. You can even see right here. That's fire. That is actual fire. This isn't data to represent fire. This isn't an abnormality in the satellite image. It's not a hot spot. This is fire. And it's burning obscenely hot. As we can see in the false color, it is very hot. Smoldering. This is a very deep-seated fire. At 100 meters right now. Let's go back to true color. Barely just you see this smoke here. I don't think this is fire right here, but it might be. It could be. It could very well be that we have... No, that's land right here on the right-hand side. But we do have a patch of fire. Looks like a heart. Just... I can't really see the lines of the fire, but... smoke's coming up like this and going outwards. Don't know if this fire is being controlled by a team based on the control of the smoke. I hope so. But this is a lot of carbon being taken up into the sky. And it's just these massive plumes that eventually break off from the bag that is a bag being fed. But the plume breaks off, and you'll have in good condition what the plume looked like as it rolls back. It's not that the smoke is circling like this. It's being cut from its source being fed, and it gets pushed out. Because smoke doesn't have to move. Smoke transits and follows other smoke, and smoke is sticky. So smoke wants to follow other smoke. And then it starts building up, starts hitting a wall. There's a ceiling as well, or a thermal inversion. The smoke can be pretty hot, but if it doesn't go any higher, then it just starts hitting the ceiling. And that's when you start getting that billowing effect. This hitting as much as it can, and it starts bunching up with all the other smoke that's been produced. And since this is really dark, I would say this is carbon-rich smoke. This is a lot of bush vegetation. It's like this was, for a moment, at one point, this had to have been a raging inferno. Because this doesn't look right. I haven't really seen something like this before in Australia recently. Try to always look at the most recent scans and keep up on them for everybody, for the citizen science. But this is looking hot. Better looks at the fire here. You can see a lot of spots that are deep-seated, that are very hot, that are very much so burning. And the horrible thing about this fire, besides just any fire introduced to a local ecology, is always going to be detrimental because nothing thrives under smoke. Everything just gets more sick and gets more susceptible to burning the more fire and smoke you have. So because this is such low-lying rocky outcrops and dry riverbeds, you have a lot of potential for fire to do a lot of unnatural things in Northern Territory compared to Western Australia or Queensland. You have fire that can crawl up rocky outcrops based on any kind of vegetation that's climbing, as well as the fire just hitting a wall and burning up. That smoke can be over 700 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's a lot of different factors that play into these flames that are just brimming with heat. It's boiling the land. We saw the drought. We saw the drought represented at different depths. It's relatively the same. Western Australia that we saw, let me just pull that up actually instead of just saying. This is the area that we're seeing a lot of these fires. Nothing major as in the fire. It's all smoke that comes out of it. You have to be cautioned because there's no air quality stations in Northern Territory, and there really should be, because there are a lot of settlements and small, like Alice Springs is a city of, I think, 25,000 people. You know, Darwin's the next one, and that's further up. There's a lot of other settlements in between that. So these fires happening here in the drought, this must be unspeakably sweltering. You have all this smoke that keeps all the heat retained underneath it. Let's take a look at this. And pretty much what we expect to see. Nothing out of the ordinary. Okay, there's a couple carbon spots, but no, there's nothing really. What is causing? Oh. That's what's causing it. Oh my god. $40C? Yeah, I using this dipstick here. 41C, 42C. Pretty much seeing this heat wave, I would say, is driving these fires. It's a cycle. It's a vicious cycle. You have drought at a lower depth, but you have fire that's burning and boiling out all the moisture in the soil. It's a really common side effect of a wildfire, that you have different sorts of pollution. You have soil must have been rich at one point, is boiled away because fire and heat moves water, moisture. And you start seeing a lack of cloud coverage and an increased amount of heat. You have a lot of reflective surfaces, a lot of rocky surfaces that absorb heat. This is just starting, I guess. I know their fire season started in August, but this heat wave right now is causing a rapid increase in wildfire activity throughout Northern Territory. We're just looking at this one fire so far and other conditions, but we got a lot to get into still today. It's not looking dire, no doom and gloom, but it's important to know, important to cover. These are people's health, their lives, and if this video can be of some service to anybody that would watch it, and especially in these areas, that would go, hey, he's right. Where are the air quality stations? There's, oh yeah, I can pull it up here. Where is it? Well, they used, okay. So you got one in Darwin, and I don't see, so you see what I mean? These are the only air quality stations in Australia. South Australia, New South Wales on the coast, so a lot of tourism, a lot of Brisbane, a lot of populated cities, and ACT. But what you don't have is, you don't have one in Alice Springs right now, you don't have one in Elliott, you have one in Darwin, which is, you know, way up there, and I don't know at what level these are set at. What is it, at building height? Is it on somebody's roof? You don't know, and there's only one, so you really wouldn't want to know. It's like, okay, the breathing conditions today probably won't be the best. This is a failure. This is I searched and searched and I can't find any other. I mean, if there were an air quality station or a gauge that was public facing, windy.com would have it here. So you have nothing. What are you going on by if you're going out for the day? Tourism, hiking, mountain climbing, Northern Territory offers that. But you get up to a certain point and you have trouble breathing, it doesn't get better. Because you can't see the smoke. You can probably taste and feel the smoke, but you can't see it. Because it's going to be so widespread and constantly expanding. To the point that the heat also will cause expansion. So say you're mountain climbing or rock climbing outcrops. You don't want to be taking deep breaths with this. And there doesn't seem to be any kind of preventative system that would be in Northern Territory to say that this is probably a good day to wear a mask. The air outside will melt your face. Get hit with particulates that are hot. They're coming from wildfires just a couple of miles away or so. But they're bushfires, they're low to the ground, mostly. Alright, let's go back over to here. Look at this one more time. This isn't 100% accurate. It's because of the curvature of the Earth and the way that Zoom Earth puts all these slides together so brilliantly, but there's no other way as convenient to look at near real-time 10-minute increment satellite imagery of Australia that I've found. It's mainly a service that's usually down, but Zoom Earth does it, and it's oh, this is a big. Now we come back to the higher resolution pictures, and it's a lot of smoke. It's a lot of bush smoke. Sorry, disconnected for a moment there. It's just these massive gains that are just fresh within the last couple of days. See little tiny bits of fire here. These fires are all in a row, so tumbling vegetation that's dry, that's rolling around on fire, can spread fire all over the place. You got nothing until just these patches, they just burn. Head more south down to Alice Springs. I don't think I see any. Massive. They're just these freak bushfires that just break out and then burn out. But they're not truly burned out because these areas have been up and down the last few months, the last few weeks. Some more active there's smoke here. See the blaze here. Fire here. And this just really takes off and damn. That is a deep-seated fire right there. A lot of fire, a lot of smoke, a lot of wispy smoke. Wow. Look at the moisture index real quick. Let's see this cut across here where that fire's at. Right here. Was that? This one is a new, this one's currently burning. We can see some fire here. A little bit right here as well. This line right here. That line. Those are, this is true color, active, fire, parameters. Burn hot. And it slowly spreads out like this, and then outwards. Burns everything in between. Pretty massive fires here. Definitely an outbreak in the Northern Territory of these fires are tremendous. And boom. Actually, we caught some here. It's only a partial. We got fire here. Right over my date. Okay, continuing on over across the border into Western Australia. Don't really see anything stands out. Yeah, it looks like there's some fires here on the 11th. They look to either be smoldering or out. They can appear anywhere in these duny, hilly areas. Just like that. Just scorch the earth. We come up closer to Broome in Western Australia. And seeing a lot of other burns. Massive. Okay, well, that appears to be much of the fire. And I'm not seeing much else besides this little guy right here. Few active fronts. Yeah. Northern Territory seeing an uptick of bushfire and a lot of smoke. Be safe. And on that note, I'll be back with another stream soon. If you could please like and subscribe, helps me out immensely, or thumbs up actually, yes. Thank you for watching.